Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame. I'm Pierre, he's Chris, and we're back to talk what else fantasy football. I know it's a long way until the season starts, but it's okay. We're always going to be here throughout the offseason to prep you for the 2022 season. So, Chris, it's running back time. We all love running backs, except for these running backs. We're going to tell you some running backs that we don't love. Dare I say, we hate the thought of drafting this early in the season. So, Chris, let's start off. Who's a running back you're going to avoid in 2022?
Well, he plays for my football team, and that's Antonio Gibson. And it looked early in the offseason like maybe Antonio Gibson was finally going to be, a league-winning workhorse-type running back because J.D. McKissic signed with the Bills for like 3 hours, and then he changed his mind and came back to Washington. So that right there hurt Antonio Gibson's value a bit. But you know what else is really worrying me about Antonio Gibson? It's that the Commanders now, sorry, I want to call them the football team still, the Commanders now have brought in Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, and Isaiah Spiller for workouts to look at them. It's looking really likely that they're going to take a running back maybe in the second round. I'm starting to wonder if they have faith in Antonio Gibson as an every down workhorse type running back. So when you factor in J.D. McKissic back, we know how much that kills them in the passing game. And the fact that they're looking at these running backs and it's sounding likely they're going to take one of these guys in the second round, that's going to absolutely kill his value. He's just not worth the risk, especially since he's still going, in the second, early third of drafts. I just think that's too high, too much risk. I'm avoiding Antonio Gibson this year.
Yeah, talented player, but the situation has to be right. And look, there's one more thing I'll say that I don't like about Washington that you didn't mention, Carson Wentz. Just saying. All right, now a player that everybody just thinks is automatic, right? No reason to worry about Alvin Kamara. But let me give you several reasons I'm worried about Alvin Kamara, and I don't think I'll be drafting him, especially because he's still going as a first-round pick pretty much everywhere in early drafts for best ball or early mocks. So, number one, talk about a new quarterback. Well, the new quarterback of the Saints is Jameis Winston, I guess, if he recovers in time from ACL injury. I mean, they brought him back, but we don't know if he's going to be ready. We don't know who he's going to look like. Jameis Winston did show some improvement last year with the Saints, but he's still not quite living up to that number one overall billing. I wouldn't say this is going to be necessarily the former Saints offense that you remember with Drew Brees and company. And oh, by the way, head coach Sean Payton, who's been there forever, is not there anymore. He is gone, unofficially retired. So I get that the offense coordinator in the system is still pretty much the same, but it's going to be Dennis Allen, defensive-minded head coach. Look, Sean Payton's a guy who's really the mastermind behind this offense. He's not there anymore, right? His presence, his influence, that's obviously going to make some sort of impact. And then the Saints really haven't had room to improve their team much, especially on offense, because they're still climbing their way out of salary cap purgatory. So this is kind of the same old offense that was just okay last year, nothing spectacular. And look, don't forget that Kamara, remember, when he first came in the league and was leading the league with 6 yards per carry. Last year, he averaged 3.7 yards per carry. This is a guy who is not just producing because of his, proficiency as a receiver. He's dependent on his work as a receiver because really the rushing efficiency is not there anymore. So, look, I get that he's still a good player. There's a lot of reasons you can feel safe having him on your team, but as a first-round pick, sorry, there's too many red flags here. I'll pass and I'll find my production elsewhere running back. All right, let's keep going, Chris. Give me another running back that you hate in fantasy.
Well, I learned my lesson from last year with guys coming off of ACL. I was really high on Saquon Barkley, really high on Cortland Sutton, and they just really struggled all year. And it kind of does take a year off of the ACL. And I thought Saquon Barkley, who's one of the best talent running backs we've seen in recent years, and still young, could bounce back from the ACL and become what he once was, but he just couldn't. But nobody seems to care that J.K. Dobbins, who was nowhere near the prospect Saquon Barkley was, is coming off ACL. People are still drafting this guy like he's going to be a workhorse back for the Ravens, which A, they don't have workhorse running backs. B, Lamar Jackson doesn't throw the ball to the running backs. So people are going to start talking about, oh, Freeman started catching passes. You know why Freeman started catching passes? Because the entire Ravens offensive line was injured. They were playing backups, and Lamar Jackson had no time to throw and had to dump it off. With a healthy O-line, he's not going to dump the ball off to J.K. Dobbins. And let's not, overlook the fact that we've barely seen J.K. Dobbins in the NFL. And yes, he's been good, but do we know he's really this elite NFL talent? He scored a lot of touchdowns, but it wasn't like he was getting 20 carries, running for 150, 200 yards every single week. So I think this is one of those situations where people are still, buying into the hype and into what could be. And coming off an ACL injury, we saw how it affected guys who we know are good NFL players. I can't take that chance with J.K. Dobbins. I'd rather grab a different running back where he's going, or even just grab a wide receiver there who I feel much better about.
Yeah, we get so caught up in draft stock, and we think of these guys, what they did in college and where they were taken and all our expectations. We just can't get out of our head without looking at what they've actually done on the field. So that brings me to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Look, I get that he was the first running back off the board, right? Pat Mahomes personally selected him, said his name, and the whole story. He told him in the draft room, I want Clyde. Okay, great. You got him. What has he done for you? Not a whole lot. Okay, so the fact that the Chiefs brought in Ronald Jones, some people, it makes them laugh and say, yeah, like as if he's a threat. He is a threat because Clyde Edwards-Helaire has not proven that he deserves to have the full-time job at running back. We saw guys like Darrell Williams, Jerick McKinnon, who we didn't even know was on the Chiefs. Be honest, you didn't know he was on the Chiefs until the playoffs last year, and they both looked a lot better than he did. Okay, this is not injury to blame. This is nothing but the fact that he just isn't what we thought he'd be. He has not been bad. Okay, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a fine, okay, decent running back. But look, he's not somebody who should be starting every week on your fantasy team. And now that Ronald Jones, who is at least a capable rusher, is going to play on early downs, I think it's going to be 1-2 punch. It's going to be first and second down, Ronald Jones. Third down, passing downs, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's basically going to become kind of like a James White, like that guy who is just there to catch passes. So, sorry, but I've been saying this for a couple years now, ever since he came into the league. Edwards-Helaire is being overdrafted just because he's in Kansas City, and there's really no reason at this point to draft him other than just depth on your team. So where he's being selected still, there's no way I'm going to draft him, especially this year. All right, one more running back you're avoiding.
Look, it used to be don't draft New England running backs. For the last couple of years, I've said don't draft Buffalo running backs. And sure, Devin Singletary paid off for you, over the final 3 or 4 games last year when suddenly they decided to give him the ball the whole time. But I'm not banking on that happening again in 2022. Look, they did have J.D. McKissic signed. If they felt so good about Devin Singletary, why would they be out there signing a guy like J.D. McKissic? Now, granted, he backed out, which helped Singletary, but I don't think the Bills are done. Not to mention, this is a team that is extremely pass-heavy, one of the pass-heaviest teams in the league. So this isn't a guy who's going to get 20-plus carries every single week. We know Josh Allen is going to run the ball a ton. We know Josh Allen is going to vulture goal line carries. I don't think Devin Singletary is going to be the guy in Buffalo. It's going to be some kind of committee again, whether it's Zach Moss involved again or other guys they sign, or maybe even guy or two that they draft. So I know he was great down the stretch. I know he looked like, he's taking over this backfield. I'm not falling for it. I'm not getting trapped by that. I'm out on Devin Singletary like I always am with Buffalo running backs.
Hey, staying on brand, the Dobbins and Singletary. But look, I agree with you completely. Who's going to be a threat to Devin Singletary? Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson looked just as good at the end of the year as Singletary did. And he was playing behind a crappy O-line in Miami. I can tell you firsthand. All right. A guy that I have absolutely no recency bias for or against because he did not play last year. So let me just tell you, I'm still out on Travis Etienne. There will be some people who do exactly what we just said they've been doing on J.K. Dobbins and on CEH. They look back to his illustrious college career. They'll look at all that potential and they'll look how high they drafted him. They took him in the first round for a reason. They took him because he fits perfectly in the scheme. Whatever excuse you want to make up for the fact that he should be doing X, Y, and Z and he's actually just doing nothing. So look, you can say whatever you want about Etienne and what you think he's going to do. The fact is, I'd like to see that this Jaguars offense is not going to be one of the worst in the league before I spend draft capital on one of their players. especially a running back. And the fact he's being drafted as an RB2, granted kind of on the lower end, but still, people just have all these expectations set for him. I can't do it. Sorry. I want to see something, some sign from this offense that they're not going to be just flat terrible, and that Etienne can be more than just a pass catching back. So you can keep drafting him. I'll wait and see. If I'm wrong on him, that's fine. I'll eat crow all year long, but I'm not too worried about that. All right, so those are some of the running backs that we are avoiding flat out, at least at this portion of the season. NFL draft's going to change a lot. Stay with us, by the way. We're going to be doing a live draft stream. You don't want to miss that. So hit subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're always aware of what we're doing, what we're posting, and join us on Discord, guys. Information in the description below. All right, thanks for watching.